Good Saturday morning again, and the adventure continues. Yes, so what's going on here today in Ice Age TV? If you're channel, it's Ice Age TV. It's all about the car enthusiasm, motorcycle enthusiasm, and whatever moves with a motor in it, right? Yeah, even electric. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I have them. So here is my EV Age GT Ford Mustang Mach-E that I bought back in March, and we've run the wheels off the dang thing. Not too bad. It's a little dirty, isn't it? And how many miles got in this thing? Yeah, 11,568. So, yeah, so what's going on here? Yeah, what's going on here? I am possibly getting rid of this today. And, yeah, if you follow my channel, you'd be like, well, yeah, gee, wow, that's amazing. You're buying another car? Really? That's amazing. What number for me today? This will probably be a record in my lifetime of how many vehicles I've bought in 1 year. And what's that all about, right? Yeah, I agree. What's that all about? It's just, buying and flipping and trading and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not a wholesaler. I'm not a dealer. I'm just a wild man that likes cars and likes to get to experience different vehicles and have fun and, yeah, and try to stay out of trouble, right? So, yeah, so here we are in the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT 2021, the 84 or the 88 kilowatt battery, I believe. So, let me get a few things of vehicles. Let me here come up the road looking at my house. I don't know what that's all about, but all right, follow me along. All right, the adventure begins on this Saturday morning. What a rainy, cold, dreary day. Is this the conversation, the dreary day, the excitement day, the crazy day for me as an individual? Yeah, anybody watching my YouTube channel, I get it. It's like, come on, man, you're kidding me. You're buying you're buying something again? Cripe. Yeah, but it's unique circumstances. Yeah, I can always justify it, right? In life, you ever notice that people can always justify their actions and things they do? Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about this morning. I woke up about 4 a.m. this morning, and I do a lot of reading. And I got to thinking, wow, we need to really step back and talk about what's going on in this world and country. I mean, and I've talked about this. And once again, my YouTube channel is all about the passion for vehicles and fun. But at the same time, I feel like I'm obligated to share my views and ideas of what the hell's going on in this world. And I tell you what, I've been around a lot of business my whole life. I've been out in the field all my life. I've seen a lot of things, and I have a lot of experience. And I just kind of can grasp what I feel is reality, and not have to listen to the media machine tell me how to think, which more than ever, it's bad. It's really bad. Yeah. So the theme, I think, is going to be my second part of my conversation. First thing is, I have like an hour-and-a-half drive now to take care of some business. And then after that, hopefully I can work my way down to the Ford dealership as I drive my Ford Mustang Mach-E PE. So here I have a 246-mile range. You see that little flasher? That's when I turn the adaptive cruise control on. This thing here is watching my reactions and my facial recognition of how my body's positioned. So today I have over a 200-mile day. So in an electric car today, I should be okay, but if I had to go somewhere else in between, I would probably be forced to charge the car. That's the electric. Many who watch my channel understand. I really need to get my Apple Pay on. It just doesn't make any sense. So this thing here, so I'm gonna have to take care of that real quick and get right back to you. Yeah, so you see there, I was embellishing. I got I got an hour, 35 minutes, so it's a 100-mile drive. That's with no traffic issues and a change of route. So I got to take care of business this morning, which kind of works out. I'm going in the same area of where the dealership is, not next to it, but I'm in the general vicinity versus a lot of time on Virginia side. And this would not work at all today. And all sincereness, this vehicle, so anybody's following my channel right now, this is part 2 of Adventure Saturday, where I'm going to go evaluate trading this Ford Mustang Mach-E GT in for a Dodge Charger Hellcat wide body. Yeah, the electric age back to the ice age. But before I get into all that, I really want to go back to I really think more of the theme's going to be about China. I think more than ever, it's just really, for me, years ago I talked about this. And people are very smart and astute that are in my subscriptions and watch the channel. And more than ever today, so much information's out there. I think there's very intelligent people all the way around. I'm not ever going to claim that I'm the smartest guy in the freaking neighborhood. I'm not, probably the dumbest guy if you look at what I do with all my money buying cars. So, China, what's really weird is the former administration was heck bent, I want to try not to use these nasty words, was heck bent on going after China for trade tariffs. People forget that back when Bill Clinton was in office back in the 90s, he created the NFTA trade agreement that opened up the doors for China and other countries to get into our country without having to pay huge tariffs to import goods. And that changed the dynamics of this country like overnight. It really opened the door for countries like China to get into our country without paying heavy tariffs, to the point of like no tariffs. And unbeknownst to some, not all, when we have products we make here domestically and we ship them overseas to our country, typically other countries put a big tariff, like a 20%, 10%, 25%, 30%, 50%. It can be huge tariffs. They basically a tax that's imposed on the good that goes into that country, so it makes it very expensive, and then it doesn't harm the infrastructure of that country's domestic product. So it's a tug of war, and more than ever, once Bill Clinton signed that NAFTA agreement back in the early 90s, everything changed. Meaning the big businesses saw an opportunity to be able to go overseas and manufacture products and then ship them back here. That's the irony to all this. So people don't really think this through. It wasn't really China that was banging on our door per se that had manufacturing in place to give us a bunch of goods. It was more about the greed of the big corporations saw a huge opportunity to go to China and abuse the labor laws and make products very cheaply, and by using China and then shipping back here to this country. That's the real story. And sadly, as we know, the abuse of just overall, human beings has been substantial. Of the greed of major corporations have been caught numerous times of using child labor for manufacturing goods. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I said years ago that China did a disservice to this country, and what I mean by that is they brought in, it wasn't China, it was our own domestic companies that went to China to outsource their manufacturing that, as everybody knows, really had a huge impact on getting rid of our own domestic made products that went to China. And that's what I was saying is the former administration, it was trying to get a manhandle on that to try to bring manufacturing back to this country, because as time progressed, it was disclosed more and more that China's really cheating the system and they're really making bad products. And I think it's just really incredible on how you don't hear any conversation at all about, what happened during the former administration to what's going on now in the world. And, and I'm not some individual that has these, conspiracy theories and all that stuff. That isn't who I am. So if it radiates that's not the message I'm trying to radiate to you. So for China, if everybody steps back for a second and looks at what has happened in this country, of all the cheap manufacturing overseas that brought cheaper products here, when, I'll just use the word, when Trump was elected into office, he went after China, and he was wanting to impose high tariffs on China to force them to play at the same level that we're forced to play in other parts of the world. Like Harley Davidson, they had to relocate their manufacturing in certain countries, and here's a whole other trick. domestic companies like Harley Davidson. Wearing my hat today there. Like my hat. They gave me that. Yeah, the guy was funny. He's like, yeah, how much did you pay to buy a motorcycle to get that free hat, right? And the free 2 shirts, right? Yeah, right. So a lot of companies relocated their manufacturing to, say, India or, say, to China, because then they didn't have to ship their product from the American turf to India's turf or to China's turf or Europe's turf and pay these huge tariffs, because they're already located in that country. That's all another trick to the trade. Get it? Trick to the trade tariffs. So, it's just the greed. It's the greed. And it's also about control. So more than ever, this country, I feel, has been financially harmed due to all the greed and all the control of these tariffs. So Donald Trump, he had a position that, hey, let's get on a level playing field here, and let's have where China has to pay big tariffs to bring their stuff here. Well, the first thing that does, that irks the heck out of the big manufacturer that's a domestic company that relocated all their manufacturing overseas and took all the jobs and infrastructure away from this country. But if you're a big manufacturer, you instantly hate Donald Trump. You're like, this guy's a piece of crud because he just ruined my business model. If he can get the manufacturing to have a big tariff and tax that comes from China to here. Because now the big businesses, when Trump was in office, a lot of big businesses were all of a sudden like, oh, wait a second, we're going to bring back manufacturing back to this country. Well, it's a no-brainer. If you have a product that's being made in China and they have to pay a 30%, 40% tariff, hello, it's going to be cheaper to have it back here. And that was his goal. So, and China saw this. And this is what I say is very, to me, disturbing, that we don't talk about this on the surface anymore. The media hides all this information from the average person. So for China, Donald Trump now is wanting to be, basically, people want Trump out of office. And the media went after him, and they just had a heyday on him. And I'm not here to take a side on political parties. I'm here to share with you what the media did. And that's what I tell people all the time, is you gotta be very careful. The media is very dangerous because it wants to make you feel a certain way on who they talk about. And so for Trump, and what's unfortunate, Trump didn't have the smarts, in my eyes, to play the game. He didn't know how to play the game. He was a fool. He really was. I mean, for Trump, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the guy's an idiot, but he didn't know how to play the game. He did himself in by playing the media machine's game. So the media went after him because the underlying really thing was going on is big business didn't like this idea of losing the China relationship and now having to relocate all their manufacturing back to this country to, not have to pay these huge tariffs. So there was a lot of hate that wasn't really disclosed by the big business community. They just played the game with smile and, yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that, Mr. Trump. We're going to bring business back. Well, you know as well as I do, if Trump had been reelected, that momentum would have continued. So for the big business in this country and their China relationships, they really were, Trump really was gaining traction on looking like that would maybe happen. And for the record, has anybody heard anything about the China tariff conversation since change administration? We don't, because right at the end, there was huge concerns. Wow, there's an electric vehicle, iconic Hyundai sitting side of the road that's not going anywhere, which I think it's an electric vehicle. Sadly, you got to pull over. What are you going to do for the guy? You got to get a tow. Yeah, that's where it all goes. So anyways, so right there at the end of Trump's, presidency, he was making strong headway and headwinds to impose this huge tariffs on China. They weren't happy. They were not happy. So what you have to say to yourself, and this is where the conspiracy theories will come out. As an individual watches my YouTube channel, will look at me that I'm some conspiracy theory individual that gets radical on this stuff. Yeah, well, what I'm trying to explain to you is, why did the China tariff thing disappear? Why did the China relationship thing that was going through the roof all of a sudden get just swept under the rug. And what's really sad is, the virus, this major virus that, for me, I'm sorry, they find a virus next to the Wuhan, W-H-A-U-A-N lab in China. They find this, the COVID within a block or from the building or whatever it is. And some people will say, oh, no, that's not factual. I don't know. Who knows? All I'm trying to do is just give ideas to others to step back and look at what happened to our country in the 90s and up to the present date. If China has now more than ever been selling products in our country that are China made by manufacturers that are domestic companies that use them. That's what you need to stop and think and look, talk about yourself. So it's so funny, this screen that it lit up, and I'm all lit up. So it's actually pretty cool, I guess, for my channel. Really good, clarity here. So for China, you have to step back and say to yourself, let's look at what's going on. And what I preached years ago was China makes, the domestic manufacturers and China manufacturers as well, they all supported the cheap product. And what I would tell people is, yeah, you're going to buy the product for $1 that when it was U.S. made, it was $2. But here's the ball game. The $1 product will break and you have to buy it again. So you spend $2. The American product, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every American product made was perfect, but the whole, what I'm trying to relate, what I'm trying to explain is the China stuff seems to not last as long. So in the end, did you really save any money? You go down to Walmart, you buy all this cheap stuff. You go to Harbor Freight, and buy all these cheap, China tools. And at the end of the day, do you end up saving money when you have to buy it again? And I think more than ever in our lifetime, we have witnessed that is really, it's very true. Think about all the appliances today. You buy an appliance today, you buy a TV today. These salespeople, these locations tell you 5-7 year life, maybe 10 years, doubtful. I mean, yes, I just bought a new refrigerator last year, and that was a conversation from Home Depot, Lowe's, talking on the internet. The same rhetoric was, you buy this, you'd be lucky to get 7-8 years. Versus many people know the refrigerator they bought back in the 80s, even the 90s, or even the 70s, it's still working. So, once again, the message is the China product was designed to be a throwaway product at a cheap price. But the Chinese and our own domestic suppliers that buddied up with the Chinese to get this cheap labor and cheap material, where they cut the corners and they didn't put all the metal in the metal. And, the list goes on and on and on. And so for me, it's so interesting. I'm trying to figure out where the cruise is on this thing, and I don't know. Oh, here it is. I haven't driven this car much at all. My other guy, he drove the car. I didn't drive the car. So Blue Cruise is on, watch her. So now the car is in hands-free. I'm now hands-free, but if this thing starts picking me up, not paying attention, it's going to start talking and barking at me. Yeah, ever remember these stories? Me showing this car and how, now I'm in hands-free. See here, I'm not driving the car. The car's driving itself. So so if we fast forward to what we've witnessed, a major virus shut the world down that originated in China, you have to say to yourself, wow, China was on the verge. China supposedly was starting to feel the impact of, but maybe the transitioning of their manufacturing kind of coming back to our country. And once again, I don't have every detail and information on that, but you just have to make the basic thoughts that China wasn't happy. They were not happy with the Trump administration. So you have to step back and you think to yourself, okay, so the election year, COVID came in and it totally obliterated the whole world, and it changed things, so it turned everything around. And what I mean by that is, if you stop and look what's happened from China's aspect, I think very smart maneuvers on their behalf, because they've been making products for so cheap for so long. Well, all of a sudden, we're paying a lot of money for a lot of things now that are made in China. So just because it's made in China doesn't now mean it's necessarily cheap. So I give credit to the China, the China manufacturing side, that they kind of saw now an opportunity with this pandemic to raise their prices, but their goods aren't any better. And so you think that through, that China was smart. They figured out how to bring product to our country, and the domestic people were, buddied up with them, where they could sell products cheaper than the domestic made products to run the domestic companies out of business. But then at the end of the day, their real goal was eventually, once they kind of got rid of the domestic competition that couldn't compete with their cheaper prices, those companies are gone. So now China doesn't have any competition. So now you're kind of paying more for the same product. And China understands that you don't really have a choice now. So that's to me, that's really what's going on more than ever in our world today, is China has gotten rid of so much competition that they now hold the market, and they can control the market more than ever. And I think that's the real story. And I think, I'm not going to go into this whole theory of the COVID was created to get rid of Trump and then COVID. I'm not going to go into all that, okay? Because then it gets too radical. And I come across as a YouTube channel, YouTuber, that, I'm some radical guy and all these theories. I'm not going to get into that. But what I just explained to you, I feel is pretty factual. I think that China got their revenge, because China wants to be the world power. I mean, that's not going to change. That's China's goal. So, all right. So we'll kind of keep the China conversation at that and leave it alone without me coming across as some guy like, do. All right. So now let's move on to Elon Musk. Elon Musk, man, it just doesn't end. He's now got the Optimus, the new walking robot that he's wanting to bring to the marketplace, a truly walking, impersonating human being robot. And his goal is the next 3 to 5 years, he will have for sale, he claims under $20,000, a robot that you can personally buy to be able to use to help you run your business or whatever. And it's in very early stages of development. And what I think to myself on that is, first of all, Musk is kind of talks sideways, meaning that, first of all, if you're abreast to Al, the artificial intelligence, so Musk's position years ago was artificial intelligence will be extremely dangerous for mankind, and he didn't really like it, but yet now here Elon is on the page to bring a human being robot capability using Al's, future artificial intelligence technology. So yes, Elon Musk just announced yesterday, had a big event that he's moving forward with a walking, talking robot, human-like, and in 3 to 5 years you'll be able to buy one of these. And so, you think to yourself, what Elon Musk has accomplished with all this technology, and he's still working on the autonomous vehicles. He has the safe driving awareness. It's like SDA, I think it is, safe driving capability or awareness. There's an abbreviation for it, acronym, or what do you want to call it. So the rains are here. It rains right now, so I got to turn on my windshield wipers so they actually work. Oh, too much there. Yeah, see, there's the computer. Like don't, resume control. Anyways, the artificial intelligence, which to me that's concerning in our lifetime. I mean, it's not comforting, but I think we're going to have artificial intelligence with robots walking around, that I think that in the end are going to be the military of the future military of the world, no doubt in my mind. But this is what I think about. I'm going to listen to those people as I'm sitting here talking on my phone. This is data being recorded. And Elon Musk was very smart when he brought the Tesla product to the marketplace, because he created eyes. And somebody like, he created eyes. Yeah, Elon was extremely smart on building a computer on 4 wheels to drive around and to act like a human. And remember, Elon Musk is all about these autonomous vehicles, and Google and other manufacturers as well, Bosch, and the list goes on and on and on of companies trying to create autonomous vehicles, trucks, cars, or it's already in drones and airplanes. But for Elon Musk, he was very smart, creative, where he figured out, wow, if people buy my vehicles, they will be my eyes. They will give me the capability to be able to record not only everything the car is seeing, but what the individual in the vehicle is seeing. So Elon Musk, unbeknownst to most people, he's already been working on artificial intelligence from day one when he brought the Tesla electric vehicle to the marketplace. I mean, he's very smart on, was it all him? Engineers? I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know him personally. So, unbeknownst to most people, Elon Musk is just like the Facebook, which I said to people when Facebook was created, I said, why would you join that Facebook? That's like a peeping Tom. You basically have subscribed to the peeping Tom adventures, because they're going to know everything you do and watch everything you do. And it's a known fact that Zuckerberg, was caught with his pants down of doing just what I talked about. And that's why I've never been a Facebook person. I mean, I don't want to be on Facebook. I want nothing to do with it. They collect all your data information to sell it to somebody else to make money off of you. Yeah, hello, could you picture me with my cell phone going out at nighttime and I'm videoing people inside their house? I'm hiding in the back seat of a car and I'm videoing the people. I mean, picture that. Think of it as an individual, and I literally was going around secretly watching every action and comment. Well, that's what Facebook was doing. For me, I'd be called out as this radical peeping Tom whack job, and I'd be in jail. But yet Zuckerberg, that guy's sitting on his mega billion-dollar yacht, enjoying the good life because people opened up their apps on their phone to let him be your peeping Tom. I just don't understand. Yeah, wow. Does anybody ever step back and kind of think about what's going on in your world? I mean, it's just kind of, I think are people cognizant of their environment? I mean, it's just incredible. So here's Elon Musk. He loves how you buy all his cars, because you're helping him train the future robots of the world through artificial intelligence. Yeah. Wow. I think scary times ahead for this stuff. All right. So kind of moving on from Elon Musk, and then talking about the used car market, and then kind of talking about who I am with me going to buy yet another car, where even I am like, man, and I don't know. So here's the thing. And if you watch my channel, I appreciate comments, nice comments. I mean, sincerely, if you don't like me, just turn it off. I mean, that's all I do. If I start watching a channel that I'm just not excited about, I just turn it off. I don't send the guy a personal message. I don't like your channel. I mean, for what? I mean, it's like anything. You don't like somebody you see in face, you tell them that, or you just move on. Right. So, here's what my thoughts are. Right now, the used car market's right at that edge where it's really getting ready to crash. It really is. And it just kind of cracks me up. I talked about this yesterday or the day before about how people enjoy watching others fail, and people enjoy watching violent acts. I mean, yes, that's just who we are. That's why people turn the news on. And I said this on how you feel like a percentage of this country, people want to see this country fail. They want to see the violence. I mean, it's just not good, but that's just sadly the way it is. It's just mankind. We're all designed a little differently. But what I'm bringing up to you is, on the used car market, is now showing all the signs that, it's coming to an end. And it's funny how it's more about the used car market the new car market, because the new car market hasn't been impacted because the dealerships don't have the inventory for them to really be able to raise their hand and say, yeah, we now have 120-day, inventory of new cars. That's kind of how they read the markets for new cars, is how many days the average new car has been sitting in the market. Well, they just don't have that as much now because, as we know, the new car market's challenged on the pandemic-related issues we talked about, the China-related supply chains, and the list goes on and on and on. The point is, the used car market for sure is now going sour to the point that CarMax has said their earnings are down 25%, their sales are off dramatically, and then I was talking earlier about how all the vehicles that are being repossessed are very disturbing, because a lot of the vehicles being repossessed are actually from the people that just recently bought the vehicles. So that's what's disturbing, is this isn't a person that bought a car a year or two ago and they're just going through hardships due to the change of times. These are people that obviously bought vehicles that were being, I think, the fake economy, the free money, and so the free money dried up and they can't now use that extra money they used to have. And there's lots of variables how this plays out. But the point is, the auto industry, the banks are seeing a huge rise in delinquency and repossessions. So what does that do? Well, it creates the used car market that, is going to be inundated with just way too many vehicles sitting on the lots, which drives down the prices of the used, vehicles. It's the old basic 101 economics, supply chain, and how it all works. When you don't have enough product and people want it, you got a valuable product. When you have too much product and not many people want it, you don't have a very valuable product, and you have to give it away to get rid of it. It's just basic common sense. So for me, I'm thinking to myself, I'm nuts. Yeah, I'm crazy. Because here I'm going out and buying all these used cars lately, more than ever. I'm buying back what I used to have, and I talk about that all the time. And, I buy back what I used to have. I just bought back a Street Glide Harley that I sold a year ago. It's, a beautiful bike. I had 2019 model. And what's crazy about that is, the payment's half what the other bike used to be, because they got prime money out of me, and it was a trade, and negative numbers were buried into the freaking bike and blah. That's the downside. When you trade out of things a lot, the odds are you're going to get caught with having to trade in negative equity. And that's another conversation about what banks aren't wanting to buy this loan value, what they feel like overpriced used car values. So that's another challenge for these dealers, is they got to be very careful if they go to these auctions and they pay premium price for used car, and they know the average consumer is not putting 10 or 20 grand down on it. They're going to put maybe 3 to 10% down on a $30,000 car. It could be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 down, and the car is overpriced, and it's really a $25,000 vehicle car. They're going to have a challenge getting the bank to buy the note, and that's what's going on apparently. So those people on other YouTube channels are claiming that the banks are really pulling back from lending, going over the lending value of the vehicle. So the banks are getting crushed, apparently, by just too many loans are going sour, where they went too far out on lending money for these used cars. So, and that's playing out. That's just starting now to play out, which that's what I predicted over a year ago, was that the fourth quarter would start to show the truth of what's going on in the country. And I really felt like the cars would be the first. Housing would definitely start to show. I don't think you'll really start to see the real story with housing until the end of the fourth quarter and the first quarter. I think you're starting to hear a lot more stories about the car market more than ever. But at the same time, we know the story of the homes, it's starting to happen as well. So, all right, people are trying to bug me. It just distracts my conversation. People are texting me and want to get a hold of me, do this and do that. So, back to me, I don't disagree. If you watch my channel, it's like, man, you're really pushing it The only thing that I think of is, does the Mopar product, which I've explained many times, you can't order a Hellcat Charger wide body red eye right now. You can order a Hellcat Charger wide body, but not a red eye, because of supply chain issues, supposedly. Apparently, Dodge is even delaying maybe the number 7 hidden car that's supposed to be the big shebang last car that comes out of Mopar for the end of the ice rain. And apparently they're having challenges maybe to make that all happen. But I mean, we're all speculating it's a 900 to 1,000 horsepower limited run car. So that was supposed to be released like in November, but there's now speculation they won't release that because they don't know if they can make it happen. I don't know all the details on that. I'm just hearing different bits of information here and there on that. But the point is, so for me, I just had, as I said in my other video earlier, I just had a dealer local here offer me a brand new red eye jailbreak. It wasn't really the right color, it just isn't really the vehicle I want, but it's too pricey. You know, so for number one, it's basically $105,000. You know, what I love is guys like, oh, it's $104, but our dealership has a $1,000 administration fee, so it's really $105. And then we have this fee and that fee. So to me, it's just too much money. I don't want it, but they want $120 for it. And they were telling me people were lining up to pay $120 for it, and I told them, damn, I'd make it $150 if that's the case. Why wouldn't you? I mean, if people are running the hordes get at $120, I think you should start at, I told you should start at $150. Why'd you start at $120? Duh, the guy gets at $130, he's jumping up and down. Hello. So, anyways, so for me, yeah. And what I'm trying to radiate and relate back to you is, my feelings are that the Hellcat Red Eye Charger isn't going to lose its value. I can't see me buying the Mopar product today because next year, as we all know, 2023 is the last run of the Hellcats. So they're going to be sought after more and more as time progresses, and then people realize you can't even order them because there's just going to be supply constraints, and I just can't see the last run of the Hellcats being just, you know, too many. I can see them being produced, but is it like they can build 20,000 Hellcats next year? You know, do they build 5, 10? I don't know. I don't know that number at all. But the way it's sounding right now, from what I'm hearing, is it's very challenging to order a Hellcat and get a reasonable time frame once they come in. And what I've been told is you can't order Red Eye from 2 different dealerships. So to me, Red Eye, I wouldn't buy a regular Hellcat. So right now, if somebody called me and said, I got a wide body Charger Hellcat, I'd be like, I'm not interested. But I'm not. There's going to be a lot of those out there. The Red Eyes, there's not. So for me, if I can take this Mach-E electric vehicle, which is a really nice vehicle, there's nothing wrong with it, but I have a white one, and I have an F-150 Lightning truck, and I have another F-150 Lightning truck coming in down the road. There's a whole nother freaking video, right? If that plays out, we'll see. But the whole point is, I feel like for what I'm kind of doing, it's not that radical of exposure for me to say, okay, well, all right, it's time to dump it and get rid of it and be able to minimum get rid of it when I paid for it, and or hopefully if I want to get rid of it, I can make some money off of it. So that's kind of where I am. And once again, if it wasn't for the fact that it's a Red Eye, it wouldn't even be, I've already had, unbeknownst to you, 3 other offers to buy a wide body Charger Hellcat Red Eye, but every time we move forward, it's gone. They disappear. So I've had some other really cool wide body options, Charger options, Red Eyes, but no lie, they just get gobbled up. So it's one of these things, once they go across that auction, if they're within reasonable pricing for the dealer to pick it up, make money off of it, it's gone. And if it's the right package, I mean, there was a really nice green one they had that I really like because it had like the butter, I call it the butter cup, the butter interior, that brown, light brown, sand, camel type of, you know, look. And so for me, I really like that, but it was gone. Disappeared. So now the Frostbite, there's a Frostbite blue that came across the auction yesterday, and they called me, But you know what's really weird is, more than ever, the dealership seems to have more time. Yeah, I've explained this many times. And this isn't me calling out any dealer that I deal with, but it just seems to me like, I mean, I know the foot traffic isn't what it was. So they can focus on me. Which, is that a good thing? Right. Yeah, I don't know. But once again, I hear all these stories from, the banks pulling back on lending, getting stricter. You hear the values of used cars are going down. There's a lot of red flags there. And for me as an individual, does the bank want to buy this deal? Does the bank? I don't know. And that's where I can do the numbers work. My concern is, I paid a decent amount of money for this vehicle right here. Does this thing still have decent value? And that's what I was saying earlier. Does this Mustang Mach-E GT be so lucky to get one? I mean, the economics of people is changing. So, and the gas prices are $5. Yeah. So, as the demand, the only way I can see this car having really good value today is if they tell me we just can't get any Mach-E GTs. If they tell me they got 10 of these things coming in the next month, then there's no doubt. I sincerely feel that this vehicle here isn't going to get a strong number on it, and it may be the deal breaker. And do I bring something else to the table? I really like the white one. I looked at the numbers this morning. The white one, no. That white one, that deal wouldn't work. The Ford Ranger, wife loves that. I've got the Toyota 4Runner I could bring to the table, but it's a different lender, so it's not the same. This is a relationship with Ford, where does Ford say, okay, you bought the Mach-E at X amount of dollars, lien value, which is interesting. I learned something from buying that Harley-Davidson motorcycle, and I never knew this, but when they look at your credit worthiness, they kind of look at your lien value of the vehicle that you buy, meaning they look at the original amount of money you paid for it. That's how they kind of base your financial situation. So, in all sincereness, this vehicle here is within reason of that Hellcat Charger wide body, because the dealer got me an ADM in this vehicle, and it was kind of a bummer, because the one dealer I deal with, or I'm really great friends with, they did this to me, but then the next dealer did half what they did to me. So, you just doesn't win, right? So here's the conversations. Long video, long day. I'm going to make this now like the part 2 of the day, because it'll just get to be too much yickety yak. So we'll end it there in part 2. I don't even know if part 1's published yet, because I'm out on the road now. I'll be on the road most today. So a lot of these videos may not even populate till late today. And so let me kind of wrap it up with this, and then I'll continue the conversation with the actual experience of going to dealership to see if things start to kind of play out. All right, follow me along, and hope everybody's having a fun Saturday, blessed day. And as I said earlier, my sympathy and hearts and prayers go out to all the Floridians that have been hurt from the hurricane. Now we have, I believe, the South Carolina is kind of getting something going on. But everybody should know that I think a lot of people on the East Coast are thinking about everybody down there. We can only hope and pray that for all of you, you can get through this, an incredible, challenging time. I understand that.